People are in the chat,
Yeah.
so
I'm
not theoretically be on YouTube.
Yes, and most of the icons in the chat have YouTube thingies, so presumably that means they're watching on YouTube.
There we go. 51 people. There it is. Kicked in. That took 50 seconds. 50 seconds for people to kick in there. Yeah.
Thanks for the AI overview, Google. Eat paste.
Just add the word fuck.
Rocks are nutritious.
Eat paste.
Add the word fuck. You don't get AI.
Wait,
we're live. Come on.
For crying out loud. Come on.
Good for Gail.
You're the reason why we don't swear on this podcast, Chris. Because
No,
if
I'm
we,
not.
if we,
I've
yeah,
dropped
no,
the
you
I
are.
one.
Because if we didn't, if we didn't have an explicit tag, you would just swear nonstop. It would be Torchwood season 1, episode 1, every
would.
single week.
On camera, bisexual antics, just like Torchwood. Which they should really just name a season, bisexual antics.
Yep. Anyway, we're live. Hi, everyone. I don't know where we are, though. Where are we? There we
In
are.
what capacity? Oh, that capacity.
There we are. Now we're there. Yeah,
Once
Chris
again,
had a power outage.
Repping the C dot as in Canada.
The gem logo, as it's called. As we May the 4th, by the way. May the 4th be with you, everyone. Because it's Star Wars
Why
Day.
are you shaking your head, Chris?
Oh, because I assume we're not talking about the new Star Wars show yet. So.
What new Star Wars show? Andor?
No, the animated one that premiered 6 episodes
Oh,
off yesterday.
no, because I didn't even know that happened. Don't care. So there's that.
Can't even remember the name of it. It's
Tales of the Underground, I believe.
Churning Through the Canon, I believe it's called.
That's it.
something
IP.
like that.
I
Tales
believe.
Tales of the Underworld. That's
Tales from the IP.
Tales of the Underworld.
I can play Star Wars Outlaws if I want Tales of the Underworld.
I love Star Wars Outlaws.
So do I. It's great.
I keep seeing thumbnails of YouTube videos going, this sucks.
It sucks because they don't like having a lady in Star Wars.
I don't like having a girl in my Star Wars. This game's terrible.
This game is not terrible. You get to both Metal Gear Solid Imperial bases and just hang out on Tatooine. It rules.
If I Google Star Wars Outlaws, under people also ask, the second thing is, why did Star Wars Outlaws fail?
It didn't, for one thing, I'm pretty sure.
In the present day, Star Wars Outlaws has been cast aside as a forgettable failure thanks to our standards being so high and the industry being stuck in a destructive cycle of needing every single AAA game to be a flawless masterpiece or a catastrophic failure.
Which Valnet crime is that on?
Thegamer.com.
Yeah, it's probably owned by Valnet. Who, by the way, if you want a little, they got rid of Polygon this week, or bought it, and eviscerated all the. So yet another bunch of gaming journalists are out the door. Valnet started from the guys that started Pornhub. They're trying very hard to have you not know that, but that's what they did. And so now they go out and they make reputable organizations into click farm garbage. And so anytime you read about Outlaws, you're probably reading their brain trust of AI garbage.
Boop, boop, boop.
Agreed with Erica. R.I.P. Polygon.
Polygon. Wearing my Oilers jersey because they begin their second round series against the dreaded Vegas Golden Knights on Tuesday.
Boo on Vegas.
Yes.
Jets game is at 5 o'clock?
I don't think
5
much
o'clock
of that
today,
city.
Mountain. Yeah.
I've been there a bunch of times and I don't much like it.
I call it Los Isley because it's a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
It is. Especially the casinos.
God, especially casinos. Terrible.
Where will all the seniors spend their pension checks?
Hey, Phil Markham, go Leafs go. That is a capital crime. That is. I don't even care about hockey, and I'm mortally offended by that. I walked down Queen Street once in Toronto, saw a guy with a jersey, and said, "Well, that ain't right," out loud.
Wow.
So that's how much I actually did do that. I'm like, well, they are in Toronto. I guess it is right, but still, damn it. And I'm festooned in Canadian nonsense here.
Just getting over a cough and a cold here, everyone, so bear with me.
Don't remind me it's only 2 weeks till Eurovision. I'm not ready yet.
Oh, God, I'm not ready either, Chris, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I never will be.
Please don't diss Pornhub. They're the likely new production partner when Disney follows through. It's going to be a very blue box.
Boo. Boo, and also, congratulations.
Well, I'm making a Canadian co-production.
Well done, and
anyway.
get out.
That's true. That's true. Canadian GoPro.
Yeah. Once again, from the CBC to Pornhub.
Yeah.
It's a very, very short leap.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
a
French
slither.
CBC, yes. Our go-to for soft-core porn when we were children.
I know. Podcasters, everyone. Look
Channel
out.
12 in Edmonton, everybody. Which I think it still
Softcore
is.
porn. No, that was Scrabble Super Channel, yo.
Well, also true, yes. I also had Scramble Super Channel. Bolero starring Bo Derek, 1984. I will say no more.
Doctor Who
talking
OnlyFans.
about?
I don't know.
Why are we doing this? Why? No,
We've
stop
created a
it.
monster,
Stop
and
it.
we are the
Just
monster.
Stop it. Stop.
All right.
Stop. Stop.
Warren recites Roche Carrier's the sweater. That's fair.
You don't
That is
even
a
know what that
classic.
is. You don't even know what that is, do you, Warren?
Of course I do.
Okay.
Thanks to the NFB. How dare you?
Okay.
Thanks to our good friends right here, the CBC. They used to play it all the time. The
But
sweater.
Monsieur Eaton will be mad.
Don't even know what it is. How dare you?
Got hockey. Something to do with hockey.
Yeah, but it's a cool animated thing.
What if the National Film Board and the BBC teamed up and made Doctor Who? Could that work?
They're just dull documentaries about,
Yeah, that's fine. All
about
right.
some prairie field.
No Croton impressions when you're sick. Stop! Stop the Croton impressions! Leave the donut trope! Leave the learning hall! All right, take your point. All right. What do you say, kids? Shall we
Let's
do a
do this.
podcast? And then halfway through that podcast, we'll flip a switch and we'll be shaming unit to 74,000 viewers suddenly tuning in. That's what's going to happen.
That's going to go great.
From multiple accounts, no.
Multiple accounts. Let's do it. Let's turn off things. Let's turn off our little background hold music there.
Which is kind of, I kind of dig it, frankly.
It's kind of nice, isn't it? It kind of sets a tone, sets a mood, if you will. We're all recording,
What
are
do
we?
you want to set?
Yep.
That's a good point. All right, Chris, you're recording. I'm recording.
Yeah.
Warren's recording.
Yeah.
Okay, kids.
7 minutes 44.
Let's do a podcast. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 1013. I'm Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
We are here to review the middle point of Doctor Who Season 2, Lucky Day, Episode 4, Season 2, broadcast on May the 3rd, 2025. Yes, Doctor Who, our weekly thing. And now we're just into it because, you know, we're halfway through the season. It's like, all right, Doctor Who. We review Doctor Who each week, which is a weird thing, you know, just because it's not on the air a lot of the year. And then when it is,
won't
it's
be in
like
4 weeks' time.
It won't be in 4 weeks' time, exactly. But first, we'll give you some because we are the official podcast of Gallifrey 1. Don't know if you heard that or not, but Millie Gibson, timed especially for this episode.
Yes.
It was literally
It was.
the announcement
It
was.
was.
Yeah, Sean Lyon had this.
Oh,
in
okay.
his
So for
back
some reason,
pocket.
I had the BBC sandbagging us endlessly in my head and not actually Sean. So never
No.
mind. I just take it back.
Don't say sandbag.
Why not? Reminds me of the Sandbaggers.
Does. One of the greatest shows ever made. Millie Gibson.
Yep.
Millie Gibson, who you saw in Doctor Who this weekend, makes her North American convention debut at Gallifrey 1 next February 6th to 8th. That was announced as well. Jenna Fielding also showing up. She was last there in 2023? 3. She was there for when
Not
Chris
24.
when Chris Chibnall was there. That's right.
The only one I could identify is she definitely went to Li Who in 2015 because I was on the same plane as her and Sarah Sutton.
That's right.
And I didn't realize that till halfway through the flight. I'm like, why is that voice so familiar?
Oh my God! It's my
I was flying
childhood.
from London to New York.
Yeah. Anyway, Jan Field's going to be there as well because Peter Davison's going to be there. So, you know, it only makes sense. And lastly, for those of you going to Gallifrey 1, and we don't, you know, current global political climate aside, we are still participating in Hotel Mageddon, the LAX Marriott block. As Warren knocks his head and his cap
It's
on
this
his
damn
microphone. I know,
beak
you're
or
wearing
whatever
a
it is,
cap.
Bill. Well, I have to. It just Canada's not for sale. Speaking of the global
You're not used to having anything on your
global
head.
situation.
That's true, yeah. Gallifrey 1, LAX Marriott block opens May 9th at what, noon Pacific time? When it
that
drops.
sounds
So
This will be us hunching over our keyboards.
It's coming Friday. Yep.
So there we go. So that's Gallifrey 1 coming up. before my voice goes, let's go. Lucky day. Let's go with who went first last week?
I went first last time. So
you
it's
went
Chris
first?
this time.
Okay,
Yeah.
Chris, your initial thoughts of the Dr. Light episode.
You don't want to go first? Okay.
Lucky day.
Yeah, it was a good episode of Torchwood.
Did feel like it, didn't it? Did really feel like
big time.
an episode of Torchwood.
Especially when Nina showed up in the little village, and then the pomp and the music and the walking around like they own the place. Yeah.
Yeah, did a little bit. Yeah. Torchwood, maybe it's veering off into the spin-off, The War Between the Land and the Sea.
Also, we got a few mentions of that. So
Yeah, I reckon so.
Oh, yes, we did.
Yeah. All right. So Torchwood, Warren, what about you? What about you, Warren?
I watched it once, and the reason I watched it once is because I enjoyed the ride when I went on initially, and the more I thought about it, the less I did. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to put myself through that again, because why make myself more miserable? So, yeah, we'll get into that. And I didn't hate it, but
Right.
yeah, like I said, the more I think about it, the more this does not hang together at all.
It was I thought it was a reasonably fun and interesting watch the first time through, and then the second time.
But then you're
second
like,
time
wait a
through when I
minute.
watched and made notes and whatever, I'm like, it's a little harder to get through.
A little harder to get through.
Which is
Because
why
you know it's coming, so you kind of just want it to happen, and it doesn't until the 20 whatever minute mark.
Well, I think the episode 2 just kind of wants it to happen too. That's probably one of my.
And with me, I was kind of getting bored with the romance stuff. I'm like reaching for my phone, pulling away, reaching for my phone, pulling away.
Right.
And then all of a sudden the twist comes. I'm like, okay, all right. And then I thought about the twist. I'm like, well, that actually doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense, or a bunch of elements within it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an episode here which I don't think Doctor Who is wanting to tell. Which after the fact I thought it's an episode that I kind of want to see more than what we got. And I think that the hook of the episode is like podcaster bad.
Oh, wait, that I can get behind that.
And he, to take down sort of the online troll element in the form of a very pantomime villain. Let's face it.
The way I looked at that was, remember in the '90s, you'd see, I know you love the hackers as a guilty pleasure, Chris,
Right.
and for good reason. It is a guilty pleasure.
It's a horrible film.
Or The Net, or any number of those films, or any TV show where what's her face is typing on the keyboard for NC, that
With scrolling stuff going through. And,
exactly, yeah, with the goth lady on NCIS or CSI or whatever it is. Anyway, the point being,
NCIS,
this felt like that in terms of social media. Like people who are too old to understand. I'm definitely too old to understand social media, but I'm also not writing the show. What the hell social media actually is? Showing me what it is, and I'm like, okay. You got the Cole's Notes version of this, but if you actually think about it for 2 seconds, this doesn't make any sense.
So very, very quick aside, representation of that here versus Dot and Bubble, which worked better.
Dot and Bubble doesn't feel like it as much.
They are different. They are different enough.
Dot and Bubble doesn't feel like that as much as it does a online community, I guess, and that feels a little more like 4chan or something, where not that people started good to begin with, but they bubbled into terrible. And,
Second Life.
Yeah, or take your pick.
Second Life,
form.
that's a throwback. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's intentional on the part of RTD, but Dot and Bubble worked better as a story, I guess. So.
Somebody just mentioned in the chat in our live stream here, and I thought this at the same time too. This is kind of Love and Monsters, except what if it was Love and Monsters, but it's Adam?
Yeah, Love and Monsters minus anybody I like.
Right, and that's kind of what the gist of this episode was. I don't know. Once again, I liked it the second time more so than I did the first. I was like, I don't know, Warren. I don't know. I just remember being like, I don't know if I like this episode very much. About 15 minutes in, and because I was kind of like, okay, is this a romance really? Like they're really just like, just let's get through this to get to the twist kind of thing, like for it's a weird relationship in that they're 5 dates in, but she's going to spend the weekend with him and his friends in a weird village, but they're not boyfriend yet, but there's a picture of them on the center of the fridge.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on there.
There's a lot of acceleration happening for the plot acceleration.
A lot of
Less. I wouldn't say acceleration just so much as lack of consistency, lack of development,
Connective tissue.
lack of connective tissue.
I know they want to get to the beats, and it's my main complaint with this season of Doctor Who is that they just let's get to the story beats, to the story that we want to tell. Let's just paper over everything we need to get to. There's another missing scene in there somewhere because she says, "Oh, when they're showing Ruby showing him a video of the shriek. This is from last night." Thinking, last night that the thing visited last night, but we didn't see that scene. So somewhere in there,
we don't have to see that scene.
No, but somewhere in there, the shriek returned last night, and she videotaped. So that's another missing scene that we just missed
because and presumably she helped Unit capture it because Unit had captured it by that point.
I guess so, but we never saw that. We
I don't have to see that.
Well, I mean,
it's a storytelling choice.
Yeah, there's a lot of storytelling choices this year. There's a lot of storytelling choices this year.
There's another
new slur just dropped. Storytelling choice.
There's another missing scene as well. In Unleashed, they show a scene where Conrad's in Ruby's kitchen with her family.
Yeah,
and that's not in the broadcast.
Just got to speed through it. Just got to get to the beats. Just got to get to the hits. It just feels like it's an once again there's pacing issues in the season of Doctor Who for me, and that it speeds to the beats, and I want to see how this. Don't tell me, show me. This is what I'm watching television for.
I don't doubt there's a better way for them to have done it, but yeah, that is kind of what happened because they had to rush to get to the reveal, and then
that's rush,
and then it's rush to get to the conclusion.
It's like 5 minutes basically from oh my god, it's Think Tank. To
whoever the hell they are.
Everyone in the world hates Unit now in about 3 minutes' time. And then suddenly Conrad standing in the middle of Unit HQ with a gun. And then our kind of overly long conclusion plays out.
What's up with Unit hiring practices here?
Exactly. Unit's vetting and social media monitoring is abysmal. You did notice this guy was following radical blogs. How the hell did he get into Unit in the first place? Come on.
You had Harriet last year. You got this guy this year. You've got there's a third one I had yesterday that slipped my mind. But
Jordan, the guy who
that's this guy,
the insider who shock. It's the one person who's new to Unit. Who could the insider be? Well, there's that guy. There's Kate. There's Shirley.
The Vlinks. I blame the Vlinks for all of this. He has been
Why can't it be the Vlinks?
off.
Why can't it be the Vlinks?
The Vlinks buggered off pretty damn fast when the
a little suspicious. I think
Vlinks just basically monitors the HVAC and just okay, no, I'm out. Just
hey, that's important. You do need a monitoring of HVAC, especially with all that Sutek dust floating around.
He dropped out going down, just like the Emperor Dog in Remembrance.
Whoa!
Wow. What does it mean? Nothing.
Think about it.
Yeah.
So let me just
go ahead.
I think it's good that they tackled this because the actual thing they're tackling is a real issue of people getting sucked into their own unreality and nonsense, which you're seeing south of the border and to a certain extent here as well in Canada and certainly in England. But the way they did it didn't make a damn bit of sense. The fact that all of a sudden, like you said, this is what drove me nuts. He's got this podcast, which presumably people are listening to so they know who this guy is.
Yeah.
And it's all
He's got 80,000 subscribers, Warren.
88,000 subscribers.
80,000.
And then we go to the Think Tank thing, which theoretically he's also hosting, but nobody's ever heard of. And then all of a sudden there's a million emojis flying across the screen because they have that plugin in After Effects. What's going on here?
74,000 people.
Who the hell is watching this out of nowhere?
Are immediately watching this live stream.
Streaming is a thankless job for 90% of people doing it. These guys, yes, conspiracy people will get more views, but come on.
Maybe they had some intern somewhere saying, keep watching the skis and posting on X and Instagram saying, watch this space.
I mean,
it's too much shorthand, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
I get where they're going with this, but there's too much shorthand.
It is way too much shorthand, and and then he's just instantly evil. I hate this. He even has a go at Shirley because he said, and you're just here for the benefits. So he hates the disabled too because he's just evil.
He was fun to watch as an absolute scumbag. I'll give him that. The mustache twirling actoriness of it was fun.
But this is what happens when you're just playing to the beats. We don't have time for nuance. We just got to say he's evil, he's awful. What did Ruby ever see in him? That sort of thing.
Well, it makes Ruby look dumb as hell too, which she isn't.
Ruby. Poor Ruby. So she's suffering through PTSD because she says, "I'm suffering through PTSD," which she says to Conrad, the only person, and then That's the last that we see of it. And then she has everything awful happen to her through no fault of her own. Mm-hmm. And at the end of it, when everything's wrapped up, I have PTSD. I'm going to go away now. And Kate's, it reminded me of that scene from one of your favorite movies, the Fall Guy, Warren. Where,
Never seen it.
Where Jeff Goldblum's in the dressing room and stuff, and he's like,
oh, the tall guy.
Tall.
The Fall Guy. Yeah.
Fall Guy.
Tall guy is one of my favorite films. Yeah.
Excuse me. And
slight difference.
And Jeff Goldblum's like, he's kind of like down in the dumps, and Rowan Atkinson's character comes in and they go, is there something wrong? Is there something you can talk to about it? Yeah, actually, there's. Well, talk to that person and stop effing up my show, that sort of thing.
He also refers to him as an elongated droplet of dung.
Right.
There's so many gold lines on the movie. Please, people, watch the tall guy. Yeah. It's great.
This is the level of care that Unit is basically giving poor Ruby over her PTSD. The story that I would have preferred to watch based on this is, because it starts out, Ruby is dealing with life after her time with the Doctor, right? And she starts to oh my God, the bus sign is starting to flicker, and oh no, the lights are thing. And she thinks, in her mind, she thinks alien invasion. I would have liked this episode to be basically Ruby getting progressively scared and paranoid and stuff. And at the end of it, we realize it's actually nothing, Ruby. It's just you. And you have to go get help. And then she goes and gets help somewhere. We actually see her get her. Well, because now we're just brushing it under the carpet,
Because what we do get instead of that is Ruby trying to kick ass, and when she leaves the pub and.
So she does that, but then
if she just gets progressively more and more scared, wouldn't that kind of go against her learnings from her time with the Doctor?
Well, what did she learn at the end of this? Nothing. She just says, "I guess I need,
She learned about herself.
Did she though? Did she? Yeah. She just says, "I need to go away." That's basically what it was. We don't know where that's going.
She's like, I haven't wrapped my head around this, so I need to go away for a while, kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, I feel like we should have had more closure on poor Ruby. By seeing where did she go? We should have seen her get help at the end of this episode is what I mean to say.
We're also going to get her later in the season, probably, where maybe we'll have
we could
have that gap filled in.
Yeah.
It'll be a tell you, not show you, but.
Oh yeah, 100%, because that's what Doctor Who's interested in doing.
People in the chat have made the good point that sometimes you get in. I've done this myself, where I've gotten involved in a relationship episode with somebody who turned out to be completely different.
Right.
But here's the problem with the way they present it here. It's a lot more complicated and a lot less pantomime than we see here. It's more, because I was definitely getting red flags from this guy. And I'm like, I remember this from. I'm not going to get into it, but yes, I was recognizing the signs. But at the same time, it's kind of cheaping out because he's like, I'm bad, I'm manipulative, I'm nigging you, et cetera, et cetera. All that is true, but the way they do it is so surface level.
It is. It's over the top, surface level, quick to the beats. We got a story to tell here.
And he's only doing it for the money anyway. He doesn't believe what he's saying.
There are people, absolutely. There's Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, all these idiots are like this. So there is an element of truth to all this, but it could have been done better, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I don't know if you're ever going to get a satisfactory story in a 45-minute block, especially with half of it being the setup and half of it being, the fallout.
Yeah, exactly. If it was a two-parter, you could believe that the first episode could be the build-up, basically the reveal.
The reason I'm laughing is if this was a two-parter, I don't know how they would fill out the time.
No, that's the thing.
That's not the same thing.
That's the problem. You don't have enough time, but more time would be wrong somehow.
Yeah, like the story is too thin to sustain itself. It needs to get to the twist because there's nothing else
at the end
to happen with it.
Yeah.
For a terrible song, I tend to use that title quite a bit.
Yeah, and that's I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm liking it less and less. And then I go online and like, oh wow, this is the best of the season, 4 for 4, and I feel like I've rarely felt as out of step with public opinion towards Doctor Who than this most recent
year. You're not in the Doctor Woke nonsense.
That's got nothing to do with
camp kind of thing.
Yeah,
you haven't gone there. But it doesn't hold up to scrutiny.
No,
It doesn't.
And
It's
sometimes good stories. I mean, not good stories, but like one favorites. Let's put it that way. Don't hold up scrutiny, but I don't care. I just let it brush it off. And
Yeah.
here
Even
I was like, I don't think I can brush this one off.
Yeah, even with the first viewing, I'm like, okay, it's like the prior two episodes. I don't dislike it. I don't know if I like it.
yeah.
I'm kind of there with you, Chris.
I feel like they're saying, here's the issue we're going to deal with this week, and we'll just basically kind of address it and then move on. They're not dealing with issues; they're mentioning them. You know what I mean? Like that's not really. It's not really making a story out of it. Is what my problem is.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the chat, Erica is saying, I'm mad at Unit for not providing mental health care. We don't actually know they don't. I mean, they might.
They're not good at it, apparently.
Well,
Ruby also might not be a Unit employee. She has clearance. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why it could be could be going not the way that reality would go.
yeah.
But I'm sure there's some employee resource plan or something where she'd get first 3.
Is there? I mean,
psychiatric sessions.
Well, let's hope that there's a former companion who is like a therapist, and then maybe they could be hired on the spot without any vetting, because that's how Unit does this. I mean, Shirley's there basically to quip. I don't know what else she does at Unit.
Scientific advisor.
Scientific advisor. Okay.
But they hired Donna, without any
And Mel.
proper interview, and they hired her daughter Rose.
Gone
without any, who we did see last year.
We did very briefly. Yeah. Yep. Anyway,
and then just Erica's further follow-up thought. I'm mad at I'm mad at Kate specifically for not recommending getting professional help.
Yeah,
I do wonder if that might be a generational thing. Kate being an older person, she's like, you can just talk to me.
Nah, I don't think so.
No,
and she's seen some stuff too. So.
I think the plot point was Ruby needs to go away to find herself, and Kate needs to send her there because that's just how it happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
vibes. This is where we need to go. This is the
vibes-based economy. That's what it is, like you said last week.
It's a vibes-based episode once again.
Now, one thing that I've seen people, and I think they're right, do we really need to raise the Brigadier's name? On the other hand, when he insulted the Brigadier, I came this close to climbing through my TV and clocking him. I'm like, don't you ever in your life disrespect the name of Brigadier Alistair Lethbridge Stewart.
Well, it's like she specifically, what did we hear? This a Power of 3, she dropped the name because she didn't want to have it seem like she's a Nepo baby. And then literally every single Doctor Who episode since then has been, so your father was pretty good.
It's pandering to me specifically, but it worked. I got pandered to, and I was like, it made me mad. I was like, how dare you?
It could just, because of her sporadic appearances, maybe it's just reminding the audience who she is or where she is.
Well, you don't need to.
What her lineage is.
Well, you don't need to remind her what her lineage is, for crying out loud. She's head of Unit.
You don't not reminding her, reminding the audience.
I know, but let her be head of Unit, basically, and but I don't know.
But even then, she's still got superiors, as we, as Abraham talks about at the end of the episode. He's like, Geneva's not happy. They're gonna, do whatever. Then she cuts them off.
Much as I love shipping those two, that's not an appropriate work relationship. It just isn't.
No, it really isn't. But you're right. They are
very eminently shippable. So
yeah. Well, seemingly the HR isn't really a strong suit of.
Is there an HR? Is that what the 14th Doctor is doing? Is he the HR department?
I know, and that's another thing about papering over stuff. It's just like all the relevant dialogue just happens with like one character mentioning it to Kate Stewart. Geneva pulled her fun. Like why does
security clearance?
Why was he the one to be told about that?
Why would she not know that?
Why is Kate being the last person to find out about literally everything? Because someone has to get this dialogue across. Yeah.
Someone let the security guy know.
Yeah, so we have to have one character tell the other character.
It could be him reminding her, not telling her.
Yeah. No, I think it's because why is that thing out in the platform? Oh, Geneva pulled our security clearance. Like, why is she the last person to know?
It is a bit, as you know.
It is.
We are.
There's
flying
a lot of
that
right
now.
There's a lot of that in here, and it's bothering me, quite frankly. 8 minutes ago, Warren, you were going to say something. I can't remember what it was.
That was the Brigadier thing. I mean, I guess I didn't dislike it. Like I didn't sit there seeing it the whole time. But the vibes, when the vibes work, the vibes are good, which is usually the RTD can coast by on vibes a lot of the time, and it doesn't always. And so but it just like it's
This is also Pete McTighe, not RTD.
Yeah.
yeah, okay, fair enough, but it's got that RTD gloss over it.
It's got the gloss over it.
But just the whole thing of people are too credulous or not credulous enough at times that are convenient, basically. All of a sudden, like I did kind of like it when these guys pull off their masks and they're like, "Oh, we're the Shrieks," blah blah blah.
Right.
What did you hire Neil Gorton? Like in the
Yeah,
show, it's
those are
the
really
people in the
good.
show hire Neil Gorton because those are really good.
Those are good hosts,
Yeah.
and they basically like unit soldiers are pointing guns at them. And they
Yeah,
go,
and they're just
surprise.
ha-ha-haing about it,
Like,
like. And I guess that goes to
yeah.
their unreality bubble and all the rest of it, but it just, I don't know, it's hard to buy into.
It is.
The-
It is.
I mean, the whole point of the ploy was to get Unit there. So maybe you could say that the people in the Shriek outfits, because they were expecting Unit's presence, maybe they were, not so scared. But at the end of the day, I don't care how expectant you are of it. If somebody points a rifle at you, you're probably going to poop your pants.
A little
I
bit.
certainly would, yeah.
A little bit,
Anyway,
We love Doctor Who. We swear.
we honestly
swear.
do, yes.
We do.
And I didn't actually hate this. I just was like, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. That's basically the best way to put it.
I thought it first viewing. I thought it was a good ride. I did enjoy.
It's
enjoy
an
it.
okay ride. As rides go, it's not
I enjoyed
bad,
the
yeah.
ride,
Yeah.
and I didn't initially see that twist coming. I expected something else, but
I didn't actually either. I got to.
I didn't see that
I didn't either,
twist coming. And it's it was okay. And then like I said, the second time through, once I knew what was happening,
Right.
and then it really felt like the timing was skewed.
It was a bit. I did like the Doctor confrontation at the end because it gave
Absolutely.
was Doctor a chance to be mean and angry, and I don't think he's been given enough opportunity to be that. And part of the Doctor's character is to be angry at injustice and,
righteous,
cowardice,
yeah.
and
I also-
righteous anger.
I
you
saw-
know?
I also thought at first it was like, oh, this is going to be kind of a pat, just kind of like a little coda here that doesn't really mean much. And I was like, oh no, as he went on, I'm like, oh, okay. Also, Conrad is in the TARDIS, doesn't phase him at all. Like, what is wrong with this guy?
I know.
Yeah,
Well, nothing phases him.
he doesn't look around. He's not surprised in any way.
He's not surprised by a TARDIS. He could very readily fire a superhuman unit rifle. I mean, like he's just an overly competent villain.
He's overconfident. He's a mediocre male and extremist is what he is.
Yeah, but he's
Nothing
overly
short.
competent. That's the thing. Like how like
That's true too.
you know that I mean
he's not
a
Pete
lot-
Hegseth.
a lot of shows just assume that people know how to fire, subatomic weapons. It's just like,
Yes.
oh well, that's easy.
Well,
Submachine guns,
Let me
Yeah.
illustrate how that is
I mean-
untrue. I've got a friend who's in the RCMP, and he told me I would rather go up against somebody with a gun than somebody with a knife, because if you got a knife, they're close to you and they're going to get you. If you got a
Right.
gun, most people don't know how to operate a gun.
No.
And don't know how to aim it, and like he does, he teaches people how to do it. But he's like, most people, criminals excluded, some of them, don't know how to, like one of the reasons I stopped watching The Walking Dead is because they're doing pot shots on zombies, headshots from a moving vehicle. I'm like, okay, in a video game, sure. In real life, which
Yeah.
this isn't, come on. And
I
I just kind
know.
of gave up on it because
I know what you
that's
mean.
impossible to do, actually.
Why
Yeah.
why does Unit not have like biometrics on their weapons?
That I thought of that too, yeah.
Why doesn't Unit have the? Well, I suppose maybe because they wanted to name and shame Conrad on his thing, so they just says broadcast all angles on his social media. That was easy. It's lickety split. Like why was he even allowed to get up in the elevator? Why was he allowed to even to live stream in the Unit headquarters? Don't they have like
Because
airplane?
Kate let it happen.
I suppose he let it happen. Yeah, I don't know. The security is wanting at that place. That one guy could prop a door open.
Everyone said to Kate, "Don't let him up," and Kate decided she'd let him.
That's true. That's
I
true.
did
That's
like
true.
about Kate how she's like, oh, you want a hard ass, do you? Well, here you go. Like I did like when she was like willing to push it.
Right. But then, the one thing where it says, oh, they went too far on that, we know that because her subordinate said, we went too far there. And that was it. They should have had a better conversation. They should have had a longer conversation, but Kate never gets to have conversation.
Again, time.
Time
Time is the enemy of this time travel show.
It really is, which is why, oddly enough, despite, this episode being sort of a brushed over unit thing and Pete McTighe wrote it, which is fine, I'm actually looking forward more to the war between the land and the sea because it's a 5-episode thing that is one story, presumably. And so there'll be more time to actually build things, kind of like Children of Earth was back in the day. Like, I'm actually looking forward to that based on this because I feel like we'll finally get some actual proper scenes with Kate and the unit crew, you know?
With knowing the finale is a 2-parter, then, we might yet get that. But
or she'll die 4 minutes into the last
Doctor
episode.
Doctor Who, by its nature, is not going to be that. It's not going to have the room to breathe like Torchwood or
Maybe it should.
Or the War Between.
Maybe it should. This is what Stephen Moffat was alluding to at Gallifrey 1 this past year. He's thinking maybe we should go back to serialized storytelling, kind of like how it was back in the earliest days, This is kind of where television is these days. And Doctor Who right now is this weird hybrid of let's have an ongoing thing, but let's just do standalone stories that are probably too expansive to fit within a 45-minute format, but let's try it anyway.
Himself, to be fair.
Back in the day, it totally was, I don't know.
My thing with the War Between the Land and the Sea, and this is not RTD or any of the current production crew's fault, is my Legend of the Sea Devils hangover is so bad that I'm like, more Sea Devils? I don't know, man.
Right.
Even though I love those boys.
Mm-hmm. As I was saying to you guys the other day, I cracked the plastic on my Jodie Whittaker Blu-ray set. I've only watched the first disc, so the first up to Arachnids in the UK.
Right.
But I was talking to somebody else about who brought up the Grand Serpent, for example, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that guy.
To quote Apocalypse Now, the greatest nothing in history.
That was a whole lot of hullabaloo that turned out to be nothing. But,
right.
Yeah, I know there's some, and Legend of the Sea Devils being another one. There's just some stuff that I haven't really thought about for a couple of years that will basically be on the horizon that I'm not sure how much I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, that's this episode. A couple of years from now, we're going to forget about this episode.
Something tells me that Legend of the Sea Devils probably won't feature too heavily into the lore of the war between the land and the sea.
Sure.
Yeah.
But there's still some problems with that episode.
Yeah.
One thing that Pete McTighe said in, more than one place, the behind the scenes and the Unleashed at the very least, this being a Dr. Light episode, the jeopardy of the episode is instantly ramped up because there's no doctor there to solve the problem.
Right.
What did we think about the lack of the doctor and the problem solving resolution and all that kind of stuff here?
I'm fine with that. They know what they're doing when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, and Kate even says, "I'm glad he's not here, so I can, because he'd stop me." I'm like, it's fine. That's cool.
That's true. I did like that angle because often it is like, oh no, the doctor's gone and the entire world got destroyed and turned left. That sort of thing. Like, it's sort of like he's the limiter basically on humanity's.
Which sometimes he should be, but also I do like when they pop in from the previous season in their previous season costumes doing pre-season stuff. That's just fun to see. When they're popping in, it's a different time, et cetera, et cetera.
I honestly, I'm mildly surprised the fact that there was a Dr. Light episode. Because it was made back to back with Robot Revolution.
Well, he has to do the Eurovision announcing. I know that doesn't make any sense.
Which we'll get to. There was no structural, logistical reason for there to be a Dr. Light episode, from what I can tell, because they're making Robot Revolution immediately followed by this,
especially coupled with shooting this a year and a half before broadcast.
Yeah, it's he was already. It's odd that they would say let's do a whole episode with no doctor again.
Well, what was the schedule?
Shooty's not getting paid less for not being in this,
right?
Either.
I mean,
so much so.
Sex Education was done by this point. He's making Doctor Who.
Barbie was done, I assume.
Barbie was long done.
Okay, yeah.
Masters of the Air. He was barely in that.
So. He's barely in that. So it's just a weird thing to sort of say. You know what? Let's take another week off from the actual Doctor.
No, he wasn't even doing anything with Importance of Being Earnest yet at that point.
Oh God, no! This is November 2023.
Yeah.
2 years ago almost.
Well, they're shooting at the same time as the first one, right?
Yeah.
So maybe
that's Robot Revolution.
Yeah. So you needed too much of them over here, and they can't have.
No, because the director was the same guy. Peter Horde directed both.
All right.
Both
I'm just guessing here.
Yeah. Peter Horde directed, incidentally, this episode and the most recent episode of The Last of Us, which I heard last week, which was shot in Vancouver. Think about that.
I won't, because I don't think about The Last of Us.
I know you don't. I do. I watch that one. I also watch Andor.
Good.
But,
I wish you the best. I just don't care about that show or the game.
Yeah.
And I have the game, and I just bored with it. So
Yeah. Chris, do you want to get to your notes, or do you have other stuff you want to talk about before?
Well, I can dig them out if you wish.
As talking points, as we often do on this here
Yeah,
podcast.
just raise a few things to discuss.
Yeah.
If this was released around 2007, it would have been a Torchwood episode.
Yep.
So it
Partially takes place in 2007.
that's true.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hence if it was released around 2007. One thing we haven't just not in my notes necessarily, but what do we think about Conrad's interaction with the Doctor and Belinda as an 8-year-old? Does it say enough about the character that we needed more, or was it enough?
No, because once again, it papers over too much because he goes there. He goes to tell his mom.
And she
Who,
says,
who doesn't pay him attention?
And
Says, stop telling your lies.
She stopped telling your lies. So he's been a liar since birth. He never turned. He never became.
also, he's got a bad mom.
He's got a
Like,
bad
that
mom.
comes off as pretty bad. So
But he's always lying, apparently. You know,
And
so
that's the one aspect that I think was needed, because that does help create a shorthand for some of what comes later.
I guess so.
Yeah, I
It's
didn't really
shorthand.
think
in a
of
good
it.
way, in a
I just
good
say that he had a
Yeah.
neglectful mother. That's basically what I took away from it.
Yeah,
Which I
neglectful
guess
mom.
could explain some of his heel turning later. But
Well, and later in the episode when they're at the restaurant, and he says, my mother died of liver cancer, because of what he says about his mother, and because of the brief interaction you see with him as a child and her, like you can buy into that like right away. It's
Right.
like, oh yeah, okay.
I
And then of course you find out it's BS, but
I also don't like, they sort of like, he tried to play it as kind of like Elton from Love and Monsters. I'm obsessed with this doctor person, having seen him and Belinda Chandra for 14 seconds on New Year's Eve in 2007, and he gave me a 50 piece,
Elton was genuine in that though.
yeah.
Yeah, here it doesn't feel like.
Here it doesn't feel the
Yeah,
same.
this feels like the whole thing with his mother and all the rest of it. Like there's maybe it's an acting thing too, but there's just more going on behind the eyes with Elton. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
He
there's
also isn't
time.
a jerk, so there's that.
No, and there's time to develop the character in that episode too, whereas this is basically a pre-credit scene.
Yeah.
Like I don't see why he would be obsessed with the Doctor. He meets him once, and then like 15 years later, he sees the TARDIS or something like that, and gets maybe a monster or something like that, and that's it. Like I don't feel like that's the basis of a lifelong obsession.
Maybe the phrase "lucky day" spoke to him a lot. Like there's that. His podcast wasn't called Lucky Day, was it?
It was called Lucky Day.
It was like okay.
It was called Lucky
'Cause there's
Day.
that poster where you see Lucky
Yep,
Day.
it's called Lucky
or
Day.
whatever.
Yeah. Today's your lucky day, and they base his whole life on that chance meeting. I don't know. Feels like a bit of a
I
stretch.
don't know how you'd get a whole podcast out of that, by the way. But
I don't know.
Well, no,
although
'cause
here we are at
he talks.
episode
He talks.
10,030.
Conrad talks about being fascinated with like aliens and whatever. So it's not just the Doctor stuff. It's other
Fascinated by aliens and how they don't exist.
other fringe elements.
I mean, that's the one part of this that I kind of liked was how they tackled how people voluntarily become stupid, which would seem ridiculous a few years ago, and now I'm like, oh no, this completely tracks. Like we see this happening every day.
Did they tackle it, or as I mentioned before, did they just mention it?
I don't know if they tackled it all that well, but at least they tackled it. So
Well, yeah.
From Shannon Sullivan, haven't we been all obsessing over it for the better part of a lifetime?
fair point. That's a fair point.
Bit different with 30 seconds of exposure versus.
Well, and all
Right,
sorts of people
yeah.
get exposed to the
Well,
Doctor,
we've
and
gone
not
through
all
in the
of them are
last
good
40
people.
years, but
So,
Yeah.
fair point, Shannon.
Like look
Yeah.
at Davros, he got exposed to 12, and look what ended up happening with him.
Oh yeah, I didn't even make that correlation, but that
Well, I just made it right now, so yeah.
Yeah.
there's no reason that can't be part of the conversation
And then he started a toxic YouTube group.
on
Think
Skaro.
tank. Yeah.
That would have been
So
a
it
much
starts.
better turnout than what actually happened.
Conrad as Davros. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
When Conrad first enters the shop in 2024 and all the mannequins are there, I was totally duped into maybe thinking Autons.
So was I, and that was deliberate on the.
And of course, it was deliberate because
Yeah.
Peter Hoare talks about that in Unleashed or
Yeah.
behind the scenes, whichever. they're interchangeable in my brain. And especially with the exterior of the building being the same as was used with for Henrik's and Rose.
Yeah.
And I think I read somewhere that also used in Runaway Bride for Donna bought her wedding dress.
Ah, okay, right.
Haven't confirmed that, but that's something I read somewhere. In the store, right after the shriek marks Conrad, there's a awesome little out of focus shot of it in the background. Which
I noticed that too.
I like that really good. The way that Peter Hoare played with the shadows and the light and the drop cloths and the mannequins and all that kind of stuff in the basement of the shop was really beautiful.
It was. I'm trying to think of The Last of Us season 2 because there's an episode of that. I want to say season 1. Did he direct that? Probably not because I'm looking it up. No, he did not. But it reminded me of a shot where there's a a zombie or something in the background. And it's shot that same way. It's out of focus. You can see it moving, but you can't see it. You know, it's that
classic
sort of
horror
shot,
way to
similar
shoot things too.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah,
because it hides a bunch of this thing's actually looks like crap if you look at it too hard. So you don't.
I like that the monster was practical. You know, they might have maybe played with the face a bit in some of the roaring shots.
But most of it is that actor doing his
the
weird
mouth. The mouth probably was a bit of CG. The eyes were animatronic.
Yeah. So they added on to it. Like the monster itself wasn't fully CG or something. You could tell. You know, it was great. Yeah.
Yeah. Even at the very very end, I think there's a bit of CG stuffs. Here, the mannequin at the top of the escalator when the shriek is up there, super spooky. Love that. Thought that was like, because before you know what's going on, I thought like, is this the the monster's master, keeper, trainer, whatever?
Right.
Sorry for the Pokemon style thing. I missed the Doctor and Ruby somewhat as a pair.
Yeah.
And the moment where she gets the antidote, I like that the Doctor couldn't stifle his smile / laughter until because he's trying to hold it in before until after she drinks the allegedly candy floss flavor, which obviously isn't.
I kind of wish that they didn't have to tie it immediately right back to the Beatles episode, because then that it makes it seem like, oh yeah, they didn't have very many adventures together. And I would have liked it for them to have a completely, her to have a completely different outfit on that she had, and maybe even the Doctor have a different outfit, just to show that they had more adventures than what we saw on TV, because we saw so little of them together on TV. It would have been kind of neat to imagine that, there's a whole other adventure there that wasn't anywhere.
So
that is a way to have to go, this is them previously, because I recognize these outfits.
One of the things that I have in my notes somewhere along the way is talking about how I liked that they established the timeline of this being right after the Devil's Cord. Like 30 minutes ago, we were with the Beatles.
Oh, you see, you did like that.
I did, but I take your point. I don't disagree. But I think it works. I think it works better that there's this like firm placement in the chronology for them.
I like the structure of it. I don't like being reminded of the Devil's Cord. So there's that.
Ruby even talks about seeing the world being destroyed. That was also Devil's Cord,
right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, I missed their relationship. I missed their play. So as little as there was to see, I enjoyed that it was there. There we go. Yeah, I like that the shop / Shriek Adventures timeline is firmly set as being right after the Devil's Cord. That's my next point. What do you know?
You forgot about it.
I just didn't know where it was in there.
Right.
As soon as Ruby and Conrad got all cutesy after the podcast recording, I knew he was going to be no good. That was going to be. I mean, it's kind of wrong to call it a meet cute, because it's not a meet cute.
It was a meet cute when they dropped.
It was a meet cute, but
it's a manipulate cute. Is what it is.
When they dropped things,
so we're all meet cutes.
It was all planned when he dropped all those things. There, it was all planned.
As soon as that meet cute happened, I'm like, okay, something's happening here. This is this is not above board.
It's happening way too fast.
Yeah. That's true. Well, that's just it. You talk about like the timing and stuff, like the picture on the fridge versus their first weekend together, and 5 dates and whatever. And I don't know if they're doing the whole 3 dates and screwing, or who knows what the deal is. That's a rule. Well,
I
not
know.
a rule, but something some people follow.
It's a
Moving
rule.
swiftly on.
Yes, please. Please.
The split second where it was evident that this would not be a clone of Love and Monsters was a massive relief. That said,
Getting close.
That said, they could honestly do a whole spin-off of people's experiences with the Doctor based on just how many people there would be, which RTD actually goes into in one of the behind-the-scenes things.
Well, if you'll allow me to advertise, what just came out yesterday, is at camp. We talked about Love and Monsters, and one of the things that Sam, who's a
Good
giant
timing.
comic book nerd, what's that?
Good timing.
Yeah, it wasn't planned at all. One of the things Sam, one of the co-hosts, talked about, he's a giant comic book nerd, is how Marvel has this a thing called Marvels. It's a series where they have it all the big events of Marvel happen from the point of view of one of the guys who works for the Daily Bugle. So he sees all this stuff happen. He's just a regular guy. And so you could do that, and it'd be interesting with Doctor Who if they ever did. Why don't we have that spin-off instead of Sea Devils? I know because there's monsters and et cetera, et cetera. But like what you said, I think it would be interesting to have each week you have a different anthology with people on the sidelines and the Daleks invading or whatever is kind of the sideline thing. What do they got to do? That'd be, it makes more sense as a web series or as a book or comic, honestly, because nobody.
Or as an animated parody in the form of lower decks.
I wasn't even thinking about that, but okay. But anyway, I'm just agreeing with you, Chris. It'd be interesting.
Could be.
And also pimping is a camp. Listen to is a camp.
Is it camp dot Podbean something? I don't know where.
Just type as a camp and you'll find it with question mark and exclamation point.
Maybe put podcast in there somewhere. Just to be on the safe side.
Yeah.
The lights, especially the type of bulb on the table at the restaurants and the atmosphere, etc. When Ruby's talking about telling Conrad about the shriek, just the whole scene I thought was fantastic. The emphasis on her storytelling.
It was good, but in retrospect, he knows it's a So is it, like well, that's for our benefit, basically. Sort of
he's saying
right
that the unit stuff, shriek, etc.,
right,
would be a lie.
Okay.
I mean, the whole like lights dimming and all that kind of stuff didn't actually happen.
No, obviously not. But like, we're seeing that from his perspective. But he knows that he's reeling her in, basically. So that him being duped by this story is a lie as well. You know what I mean?
It is. Yeah. Totally.
The whole thing's a lie. You can't handle the truth.
Also, how did Unit get there in the first place? They weren't reading weird alien activity, because there isn't any. It's two idiots in costumes.
But Ruby
idiots in costumes are in a small town. Let's go get them.
Well, Ruby phoned.
Ruby called them in.
Yeah, Ruby called them in.
All right.
Yeah, Ruby
I didn't
called them
notice.
in.
Never mind.
We could be there in 30 minutes. Yeah, we got nothing else on the go. Let's be there in 30 minutes. The helicopter. Yeah.
Yeah, and the helicopter got there at the same time as the land vehicles, because that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem.
Right.
So there's right after the dinner dates, when they're walking down the street, there's that I think it's a cab. There's that car anyway, where the inside lights and the headlamps start to flicker before other things happen. So to kind of take some side stuff for the whole unit expose thing
Right.
to happen, lots of other little things have to happen to set it up. That
Okay.
I don't think there's necessarily any reasonable way to have things explained. Like, so when the car lights flicker, okay, fine. If there's a shriek around, cool.
Right.
But there isn't.
No.
So that means Conrad or one of his cohorts have to make that happen.
Jiggle a cord or something.
Sure, maybe.
They don't seem competent enough. They seem like a bunch of giggling idiots. So
It seems like a very complicated, like 1960s Cybermen kind of invasion plot. That kind of complexity. Many things have to go right for this whole.
Yeah.
then you need
to
a
be
genius
pulled
like
off.
Packer.
Like
For-
we
for-
have,
for-
hey,
for-
we have to like, okay, we all. So what's gonna happen? You go. She has to go outside and phone, and then we'll nip off and put our costumes on, and hopefully it'll be at night. It's at night. Good, awesome. Okay, is it foggy? Excellent, awesome. Okay, now what we have to hope to do is that she'll phone Unit in and they'll be here in the next 30 minutes, and then we'll be ready with our costumes on. Like, there's a lot that has to go right for this.
I don't often say
and
the
we
Android...
have to get 75,000 people ready to watch this live stream in case this happens.
I don't often say the Android invasion.
That's just storytelling, imagination.
I guess so.
I don't often say the Android invasion is more plausible, but the Android invasion is more plausible.
Wow.
Erica in the live stream chat says one of his friends works for the power company. No, he's an electrician. Doesn't work.
Oh, that's
for the power
Sparky's
company.
Electric. When I saw that hat, I'm like, I kind of want that hat.
Works for himself.
Also, rural England getting that kind of quality live stream. I don't know about that, but
it's okay. So
I'll wait till Chris's notes are done.
that's more of a joke. But
in a lot of ways, it's easier for infrastructure to be upgraded in small towns than it is in big cities.
right.
So there are lots of little towns in England that have like kick-ass internet, etc.
Oh, really?
That may not exist in Manchester or London.
On the other hand,
or other
and this is Canada we're talking about, you could always tell who was in charge during the pandemic because they would be calling from their on the Teams call from their cabin, and their bandwidth would be garbage, and you're like, and you could watch, oh, your bandwidth's worse, you must be rich. Like, everybody at home, who actually works for a living, had great bandwidth because we're all stuck wherever we were in the burbs or
yeah.
Whereas all the people in charge were in their cottages in Prince Edward County or whatever it is in Ontario, which where all the rich people are. And so I saw that firsthand. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, your bandwidth sucks, I'm supposed to listen to you. Why? Like, come on.
Right.
Also, the world's going to hell.
So yeah, things that needed to happen to sell Conrad's story: sabotaging the lights in the car, sabotaging the power in the pub. That one's a lot easier. Where did they source the fake costumes?
Neil Gordon.
Neil Gordon, obviously doing
presumably
stuff
the design was based on
Presumably
the design was based on Conrad's recollections in the
recollections. That's a hell of a recollection
in the
too.
store.
Yeah,
And
like, I never saw
Stan Winston level skills.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, in the Unleashed or whatever, there was I think it was Neil Gordon who said, I'm going to one of the designers, like, I'm going to show you the real thing for, was it 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Some limited amount of time.
Yeah.
And then I want you to go recreate it from memory.
That's pretty cool.
So it doesn't look as good.
Yeah, it was good.
Versus the real thing. So that's a great trick. I like that.
That's a good approach. Yeah, it's a good approach.
And then also relying on all of his co-conspirators not to drop the ball. Like, that's the big thing with any conspiracy theory, is a lot of them fall apart when you realize that there's no way in hell so that many people are going to keep that. This is kind of a secret for any length of time.
Right.
The number one argument of many about 9/11 being an inside job was, you think these nincompoops who couldn't invade Iraq properly somehow pulled this one off?
Yeah,
right.
Or the government killed Kennedy, or the mafia killed Kennedy,
or the moon landing. It's like, oh yeah, okay, we
landing,
fooled them. We fooled them. Let's do it 6 more times with 6 entirely different crews.
You can, if you have a powerful enough telescope, you can see the stuff on the moon. It's there, right there. Like,
Cherry and Carla cyberstalking Conrad and talking about his shirtless Instagram post.
Right.
That was cute. Like that.
Right.
that was funny. Yeah.
That was cute. Oh no, not the Mind Pub.
That's pretty good.
Paul Jericho playing the pub landlord.
Paul Jericho
That's pretty
plays
good.
a
Oh
cast
no,
of
not the Mind Pub. Nice.
Li Who timed their release of a guest announcement. Paul Jericho's going to be at the Li Who in August, and Ken Deep timed it to announce that this. So 2 conventions
That's
announced.
2 con runners who are being very clever.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Paul Jericho, everybody.
Yep.
Castellan. Maybe he's playing the Castellan. Maybe he's a Time Lord working in a pub, and that pub is a TARDIS. Maybe that's what it is.
Castellan's dead. He didn't even regenerate.
Did he?
He didn't.
We never saw it.
Yeah,
Rassilon the Resurrected. Or Rassilon, not Rassilon.
His corpse on the ground.
They pulled him off, and then he regenerated in the morgue. Sylvester McCoy got killed in the TV movie, and then he regenerated in the morgue.
No, he didn't. That never happened.
The Castellan unit lies. Time Lord lies.
Oh no, what have we done? We've radicalized Steven somehow.
The Castellan regenerated. Believe it.
We gaslit him about the sandbaggers one too many times.
Hey, first of all, nobody's being gaslit. You just don't understand Whitehall politics. So anyway, one thing that bugs me about the implausibility of this all is like everybody turns against Unit, who they normally don't even think about to begin with. Right. But then 2 seconds later, once they've shown this guy to be a fake or whatever, it's all like, I stand with Unit hashtags or whatever. I'm like, oh, come on, really? Like,
yeah,
this is dumb.
It's for effect. It's just
I know, but
effect.
it's just kind of stupid.
It is kind of stupid.
Painting over it.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah. We got just a remark in the live stream chat from Andrew Smith.
Yes.
Full Circle fame.
He gets it. He understands
who
that.
used to, he worked in law enforcement for decades.
he was a blue guard. Yep.
I've worked on jobs that conspiracy theorists have attacked as fake, including the response to 9/11, and at no time did the mainstream media give these nonsense and highly offensive agendas any credence.
I know,
Which is
but now
much different than now.
Much different than
now. The BBC One show is like,
Did they stop the steal?
Yeah.
Let's look into it. I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, Trinity Wells going full on Fox News now. I mean, what is
that was interesting. I mean,
that was
and also
in the
kind of
giggle,
plausible.
too.
Yeah.
That started in the giggle.
I called her. She Bartiromo'd herself
Yeah.
because she started as a financial. Maybe she was right wing. I don't know. But now she's just a shill for Trump. So
Yeah.
Once upon a time, I had a crush on Maria Bartiromo.
well, the Trump thing will kill that
Back
for
there
you.
was the CNBC days, maybe.
See, I like Amanpour, and she's still cool. So
Yeah. Proper journalism.
Yeah.
Mel's on her way to Sydney because there's something strange happening in the harbor. I'm assuming that's some sort of the war between setup,
hope so,
especially
yeah.
with McTighe writing the episode.
Or maybe to the legacy of the last two-parter, perhaps. I don't know.
No,
'Cause
it's
she's in
actually
that. She's
Paul
probably
D
in
running
that.
around with Bill for 2 seconds. That's what they noticed.
She's
I mean,
looking
the-
for missing episodes. Dalek's master plan. They
Yeah.
thought they might have
The
got a couple
mention
episodes.
of the harbor makes me think it's more likely the war between.
Yeah, I mean, why mention Sydney unless you're going to work in some
Or
messy
just
stuff.
saying,
Unless
she's not
something's
there.
happening. If something's happening at the Opera House, which is at the harbor, then okay, maybe. I
Or
don't
just say that, oh, she's in Sydney now. You know, the Brigadier was in Geneva during Seeds of Doom. That was an tie-in, you know.
Going back to one thing you raised a few minutes ago, Warren, UNIT didn't initially find anything at issue in Coulson because everything there was a ruse, and it's only Ruby calling in the cavalry that led them there in the first
Yeah,
place, or
that was my
caused them
bad.
to be there. When Kate checks the holding cells, you knew they were going to make a reappearance. In this case, it's just the one cube for the Shriek, but nevertheless. The pin code for the Shriek cell is 9012. I don't know if that means anything.
Probably not.
Probably not.
I wish
I
they
know.
would have re-edited the scene slightly when Kate checks on the Shriek. I wish she went in there.
Why does she punch in the pin code and the door stays locked?
I don't know why. She
Like-
punches the print code to display the name of it for some reason.
and
know.
the status, like awaiting pickup, doctor,
Yeah.
or whatever it says.
That's-
Make sure it's
That
not
was
Eric
weird.
Weevil.
I wish that she would have like gone there. What's she doing? Punched in the code, then knocked on the window. Then the Shriek goes like that. Then she should have said, "Just making sure you're still in there." But instead, she says, "Just making sure you're still in there first." Like she's telling us, the viewer, what she's doing. You know. I wish they would have made it a little more subtle. Is what I mean to say.
Remark saying it's a code for the lights. Oh, okay, maybe, sure. I know. It's there for something. I just don't know if it's explained what or why.
Yeah.
I liked when the dude in the bar is like, "Who put you in charge?" And Ruby's like, "Well, go outside
Yeah,
for
that was-
some air, big man."
That was a good line. That was
It's
quite
like
good.
it's like okay, fine. You don't
Yeah.
listen. Go die.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Ruby telling Conrad he was wrong when he said he could be like the Doctor. And then she goes outside alone to fight like the Doctor would. And she's got the experience that Conrad doesn't have in such undertakings.
And he comes out with a cricket bat like Simon
Yeah.
Pegg.
And you do see the cricket bat in the background hanging up on the wall. On the
Every
wall
pub
earlier
in
as
the
well.
UK has a cricket bat in it. I think.
Yeah,
Probably.
I'm sure all the Brits in the chat will absolutely corroborate that without
absolutely.
fail.
Yeah.
I'm not getting anywhere near this.
Nope. But yeah, that was a good moment for Ruby, I thought, because
Yeah, I did. I like that. Yeah,
and she's also
she's plucky.
She's plucky, but she doesn't have the hubris that Jenna Coleman had. Like, because in what you call it, Shrinky shrinking ink.
Oh yeah,
Flatline.
Flatline. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Clara is a little, or even later on in later episodes, like Face the Raven and whatnot.
Right.
Clara is a little more bullshit with it, and I think that's this is different than that.
Yeah, I mean, she was
leave
been
it
in the
at that.
TARDIS for a lot longer by that point. She's
Clara definitely had, yeah.
definitely had, yeah.
and she's
yeah.
the impossible girl, and so forth.
too.
As much of a trope as it was, I'd liked the ruse of Sparky making them think he's dead with the shoot up hat and the shoe on the ground.
Right.
Worked for me. And then, of course, we have the big reveal of them being a part of Think Tank, or being Think Tank. So
Had t-shirts made up and everything.
had
They're all
t-shirts
ready.
made up
They're ready to go.
That nobody knew about.
with
Yeah.
greater than and less than signs.
I was gonna say that's some crappy looking HTML. That's
I was going to say not a valid HTML tag.
Not at all. I thought the same thing.
And then, of course, longtime Doctor Who fans are going to think back to Robot, which also had. Well, Think Tank was the nickname, not
A
the
way
formal
cooler
name.
think tank,
Yeah.
by the way, of neo-Nazi idiots.
Yeah.
They at least
but,
had a giant robot and Mr. Kettlewell.
But I mean, in the grand scheme, both think tanks are not a million miles away from each other as far as their
We needed
meetings.
some bad CSO robot and Sarah Jane Dolly action in this, because you always need that.
I suppose RTD is telling the truth when he says he has no time for right-wing online asshats, etc. Given McTighe wrote this joint.
I mean, I don't want to disagree with him. Neither do I.
Because RTD is obviously, been on the record saying, all the Dr. Woke stuff is like, I don't have time for that. It's like, fair enough, okay.
I
Right.
wouldn't either if I was him. Why waste your time looking at that?
Even though it sounded like the genesis of the episode came from RTD, it was assigned to McTighe.
Yeah.
Hashtag demand the truth. Jonah Howard King was very effective in his portrayal, and maybe it's a bit of an echo chamber effect, but people like that don't actually want to know the truth or know it and choose to still tell lies, which is ironic. Given
He does do the mental gymnastics while he's being confronted by UNIT.
That's true.
Oh yeah, we've seen this a million times. People who just will not listen to you.
No.
creates a bit of an ironic hashtag. Demand the truth, because he's ignoring the truth and refuses to tell it. The return of Trinity Wells and the apparent public support for Conrad and his lies.
The sudden.
Half and half
in
on
my-
this 'cause-
like,
sorry, Chris.
they-
In my
yeah.
note, I put, was there any establishment of anti-unit sentiment in the past that I've just forgotten about?
No, I don't think there
No.
was. They basically,
Okay.
it's like an episode of The Simpsons where like all of a sudden this week Springfield loves
The
the
Simpsons
new
are
shopping
going to
mall.
Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of like
Or there's a mob for no reason.
Springfield loves this now. We're just obsessed with it. It's a cartoon show and it's comedy.
You
and
can get
it's
away with
funny.
it, yeah.
Yeah, whereas like, oh yeah, this one blogger says unit. Yeah, let's all go with this blogger. Everyone hates it. Let's bring our sides and everything.
I'm half and half on this because I'm half, yes, that's very implausible. On the other hand, just to pick one of a billion examples out of the ether, everybody yelled about the Haktua girl for about 6 months. Like, who is this? Some idiot. Like,
Right.
who, I don't know, nothing against her. She
Where-
seems like she's kind of got caught up in the maelstrom, but that's the point.
Were
there's
there
a whole maelstrom to get caught up in.
maybe there should have been like a Bitcoin, like a sort of like a token or something that he sold online to fund. We should have like dumped crypto in there too, maybe.
You could throw a bunch of stuff in there and not explain it. And just
Yeah,
have it, but it would add
not
to
not
it.
just the 88,000 paid subscribers, but he's also got a crypto farm or something like that.
Yeah, or he's selling
Oh,
supplements or the usual
Yeah.
nonsense these guys are doing.
Yeah, let's take that stuff down. Maybe that'll be in the next episode. Maybe Eurovision. Maybe the Interstellar Song contest will be all about Bitcoin. Taking that down.
So that's two things I don't like.
Wow. Yeah.
Anyway, Neil Perryman has joined the chat.
Neil loved the episode. 9 out of 10 he gave it.
9 out of 10, he give it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The TARDIS wiki, for whatever it's worth, has a comprehensive list of the names and addresses of those who were doxxed. The host of the one show in real life, her name is Alex. Her name is
Jones.
Alex Jones.
I forgot that. And then
a
when
bit
I
of a
saw
jump scare.
the credits, like Alex Jones is in this? What? No.
Yeah.
Different Alex Jones.
Neil, by the way, mea culpa. Neil is right. The Haktua girl apparently ripped off all her fans. So fair enough. That's a bad example. But there are a
100%
million
did.
examples of this kind of thing.
Well,
Yeah.
she's blamed for the pump and dump
Yeah.
But I think it was her
Well,
handlers who
this
did
is
that.
also-
But nevertheless, I'm not defending her. But
This is a classic American hero to villain arc. Become beloved by everybody, screw them over, and then eventually
cash in.
redemption somewhere down the line is going to
got it.
come in because Americans specifically, everybody, but mostly Americans, love this kind of. They love to get ripped off. Frankly, is what the boils down to.
I feel like
people
we
like
should
making a buck off that.
Yeah, we should have probably had maybe a scene or two of like people like. Well, then that would have just been papered over too of people saying, you know what, I was wrong about this.
Yeah, that would have been bad. Like, what was I
Like,
thinking?
Yeah.
Or just
You-
a scene of
you
a
get-
random
you get-
person putting their phone down, going, "What am I doing
You
here?"
get that incident 180 at the end when all the lies are revealed and whatnot.
I feel like actually, if they wanted to make it accurate about people listening to podcasts on their way to work and they're jogging, they should have had someone playing it, and in it we hear it like at 1.5 times speed or something like that. You know, like that's how people really listen to podcasts. Let's face it. You know,
I would never.
Either
listen
that
to
or
the
in the
1.5.
background, in the background, you're an ad for Casper mattresses.
Yeah,
or something.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't, that's so 2010, but yeah.
Maybe Ruby needs to go to BetterHelp.com.
Matterhelp.com. There it is. That's when, there she goes. She listens to the latest podcast. There's an ad for BetterHelp at the end of it.
If I was her, I wouldn't be listening to any podcast.
Yeah, Eunice not going to pay help me out, so maybe BetterHelp.com. This episode of Radio Free Skaro, by the way, brought to you by BetterHelp.
No, absolutely not.
No.
Brought to you by anybody, by
Yeah.
the Patreon subscribers who are good people.
Trinity Wells was too busy being confirmed as Secretary of Defense.
She's she's overqualified.
Too true.
Oh, man. And then
Has she been in a Signal group chat yet? I don't think so.
Yeah, I know.
Or two of them.
And then other real life people. Obviously, I always often like when Doctor Who puts real life
Yeah, I
people
know.
in there, like Andrew Marr in the past, for example. We had
Or
Rita
Graham Norton.
Chakrabarty. Yeah, Graham Norton in a couple of weeks. We'll find out about that. Comedian Joel Dommett.
I had no idea who that was.
I don't know who that is either.
Not a clue.
Yeah. I've seen
Not a
one
clue.
on the odd thing. And then Jonathan Ross is there. Jonathan Ross is uncredited, but he also doesn't speak. He just
I
kinda-
think
kinda
that clip
chuckles.
was from an actually existing show.
Which you would have
entirely-
access to.
entirely
if it's a
possible.
BBC
It
show,
did not
yeah.
like they shot that specially. Can we get Al? What's his name? Jonathan Ross turning his head bravely? No, I think it's an entirely different show.
It's
They just
entirely
threw a clip in
possible.
there. Yeah,
Yeah, Hugh Edwards. Yeah, well, that worked out well. That age,
very
that
well.
aged like a
This
fine
is the
wine.
thing. This is the thing. You know, the more celebrities you put in there, the better.
Wasn't there a big Worldcon controversy with Jonathan Ross when he was going to do the keynote
That
and
rings
then
a
people
bell.
got mad?
That
It
rings
does ring a
Yeah.
bell.
I mean, surprise, a controversy at Worldcon.
Yeah.
Who can
Everyone's got to
there's-
have one. Every
Yeah.
Worldcon has to have one. So
This one,
you know.
latest one has had one too. Yeah.
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 Where are you at here? We're at like an hour 10 into this thing. We've long
About an hour.
passed the episode.
No, we're not even an hour because of all the galley talking.
But
Yeah.
like
Anywho.
before we said it's a lot tougher to talk about something you like than something you don't.
That's
Well,
true.
here we are.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I somehow wound up with a few more notes than usual. Not many more,
Yeah.
but a few more. Would 80,000 paid subscribers be enough to have money for 3 properties and, quote, be raking it in? I guess it depends on your
I mean,
subscription
a dark
fees.
part of me was like,
Right.
maybe I should do a heel turn into right wing mania.
Hey, I want to make some
that
money.
cheddar.
Yeah, I
Wanna
guess
make some
so.
money.
Then I thought
Yeah.
to myself, no, absolutely not.
I mean, do souls really exist? No.
Mine would, just to die.
Right.
If I did that.
It would come into existence just to
Only
die.
to die, yeah.
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 In a fit of irony.
Kate asks the Vlinks to encode the staff search results and send them only to her screen. Like she wants privacy, but the Vlinks says everything out loud and everyone bunches up around her screen.
That's a great
Why?
point.
Like,
yeah.
what
I know. Why do we have
It's a
to?
wasted line.
That is odd. That was odd, wasn't it?
It's a line you could have used for better plotting.
Yeah,
maybe.
and it could be Ruby, or it could be the guy we just hired.
Yeah.
No, it's him,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah. Saw that
Jordan
coming.
Jordan Lang's rank is shown as 4 chevrons. Ruby has 1. A symbol not currently used in the British Army. Not that unit has to adhere to British Army rules.
Nope,
But it used
nope.
to be used apparently for sergeant majors and quartermaster sergeants. So it is an antiquated
Right.
Army rank insignia. In all caps, nobody badmouths the brig, you F-wad.
I agree completely.
We talked about that earlier because
talked about that
they
earlier.
only ever mentioned the Brigadier because Kate dropped the name, and that's why we have to keep mentioning that.
They
she is,
don't
in
say his
fact-
name, though.
But
They don't say
also,
his
when I
name.
heard it,
No,
my Alberta
they just
came
say your
out, I was
father.
like,
Yeah, I know. But the fact that the very first episode she says that she dropped Lethbridge from her name, so that people wouldn't keep mentioning the Brigadier, and all we've done since is mention the Brigadier. It
doesn't work. It clearly
how,
didn't work.
Yeah,
She just needs to be called Kate from now on.
God.
And on top of everything else, I mean, the Brigadier never appeared in the reboot of Doctor Who. He was in Sarah Jane, who's mentioned obviously in the reboot of Doctor Who. But
I know.
So they're also alluding to a character that anyone who hasn't seen classic Who doesn't necessarily have a notion about.
You don't need to know that her
probably a lot of
father
people.
ran unit in the 1970s or 80s. You don't need to know that, but we keep mentioning it because the father, I know this is the daughter, a woman, by the way, but her father was really good. It just seeks to undermine Kate's character.
Well,
we're trying to give her a character.
It does.
And she never gets to have one. And
It does. Yeah.
She's been getting a disservice in Doctor Who.
And it's
quite
straight up
frankly.
nostalgia bait is what it is.
That
That worked because I reacted emotionally the second I heard it. So
It gives her the opportunity to compare her father against Conrad, though.
Consistently. Why can't we compare her? Why can't we compare her character to the father?
or compare Conrad to the Doctor, which I guess we already did. But yeah,
Well, we always
Only-
got
or
only-
Ruby for that matter.
Only the female companions get agency. I guess. I don't know.
Does she really though? And even that, I mean,
That's
Ruby's
a joke.
basically- Right,
I don't
no,
even know if she
but-
does.
No, but when you look at this episode, it's another thing too. Is like Ruby is like it's all her story up until when Conrad does the turn, and then Ruby is just like watches and cries and does everything, and basically is given a taser to temporarily subdue the alien.
And it's
Her
Conrad's
involvement
story,
is her involvement definitely shifts. Yeah.
Minimal.
I'd seen somebody out there saying what they really missed or what they thought was a disservice to Ruby
Right.
was not having the Doctor show up at the end just to like give her a hug or reassure her or something.
Yeah.
Absolutely no. There's no way that should be in the episode because that totally takes everything Ruby's learned out of the
That's
picture.
true. That's true too. And I mean, by the drama of the season, he wouldn't be physically able to get there anyway. Like
I guess, yeah.
the Doctor that shows up in the prison, which is weird. This is one of the problems with the Doctor having different outfits all the time, is that when he showed up to materialize around Conrad in the TARDIS, great lighting in that scene, by the way. I love the angry TARDIS look that he put in there. It's like the Doctor's probably going, I'm going to materialize around what lighting scheme is the best to intimidate. There we go. There we go. Setting
button that says
4C.
intimidate.
Yep. When he appeared, I'm thinking, which Doctor is this? I don't know what, should he be appear here because he can't get back to Earth? But then I realized that this is pre-Belinda because he's the one. He's the one that mentions Belinda offhandedly so the Doctor could go back and meet her in the Robot Revolution. But anyway.
The direction/blocking falters a bit when the Shriek Cube is opened because Conrad is mostly facing away from the Shriek. So it's kind of like off to the side, presenting a smaller target, very soldier-like.
Right.
And the rifle is up in front of his camera as well. So the audience is not going to see what he can see until Kate says, turn all the unit cameras onto, Conrad's social media feeds, which by extension also means they had access to his social media feeds, his passwords, his two-factor, his whatever, to be able to do that in the first place or hacked it or something.
Right. Yeah.
So, again, another massive convenience.
Huge convenience. Yep. Got to get the beats. Got to get to the beats, Chris. We don't have time for this. Got to get there.
So if Unit can feed Conrad's social media, then that means they would have hijacked his passwords or whatever, meaning they were a step ahead. So go, Kate Stewart.
I guess so.
And then the line said to Ruby, "You've already got 2 mums. What, do you collect them?"
That was kind of funny.
A little charmer in the mix there. I like that. Shooty, 5 words. Shooty's monologue was a masterpiece.
Pretty good.
It was
good.
great. I loved his just his demeanor, his cadence, his diction, he just delivered that so well. And
that's a tough one. That's a tough one to do.
Yeah, you could. He very much sold that the Doctor was just like seething below the surface, and
It kind of sells the age of the Doctor too, from a 30-year-old guy.
Yeah, I know. I think I mean, in all of RTDs, Doctor Who, I feel like the Doctor sort of felt a little too human for my liking, and I think God was sort of been that way too. But this is like one of those rare instances where I think, okay, he is a vengeful, angry Time Lord who will rain down on you. You know.
Has anyone seen any praise out there for Shooty not crying this episode?
I hadn't even thought about it till you mentioned it right now.
No, I did think about it.
Well, he's barely in the episode. There's no time crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. Shocked that he didn't cry. Yeah. The Disney Plus version at the end, again, has the American Humane...
Controversy.
American Humane notation, presumably for Biscuit, the
Biscuit.
dog in the pub.
Poor little Biscuit.
Poor little Biscuits.
Those are monsters. That's their biggest crime, is scaring poor little Biscuit, let alone bringing in unit, you know?
It's just a dog. He doesn't know what's going on.
I know, poor little pup.
The BBC version does not have that. Again, despite the fact that American Humane operates in multiple locales. Unleashed showed the scene with Conrad and Ruby's flat. Got that. In Unleashed, RTD mentioned how the Shrek severed Conrad's arm.
The Shriek.
The Shriek, rather. The Shrek.
If Shrek appeared, that would be a different crossover.
It's an easy way to...
Mike Myers severed Conrad's arm.
Yeah.
Elbows up, chop.
Elbows
I guess
up.
so.
Yeah. Was it a severed arm, or was what was that thing on his arm?
He says that the Shrek bit his arm off.
Okay.
Hence the apparatus you see on his arm when he's in the cell.
But
it didn't come across to me as his arm being severed.
No.
Just that he was bitten.
I didn't.
And
really
I thought maybe that metal apparatus was just like to heal the
That's what
the
I
wound
thought
or something.
too. That's what I
but
thought.
no, apparently it's because the arm was bitten off. Not done well.
Difficult to chew off a arm of a person in Doctor Who.
And show it.
It's rarely been done. Ghost Light did. Ghost Light, the light picked up the servant's arm, and she says, I took it apart because I wanted to see how it worked, basically. He says, wow, you just disemboweled a person on BBC One. That's pretty cool.
And then lastly, in Unleashed, McTighe mentions Kate Stewart's actions have implications beyond the show. So I'm assuming that's an allusion to the war between.
Oh, it's all a setup. It's all a setup.
One thing I just thought about right now was that I didn't really notice Murray Gold's music, which is a win.
That's a good point. I didn't notice it either.
I did when Unit showed up on the scene.
That's true.
Music was so cheesy and campy.
I was expecting the RTD1 unit theme to happen there, and it didn't. And that's when I noticed, hey, wait a second. This is a different unit theme. So there.
Yeah. One thing I did not write down was the helicopter call sign, because it's not G unit, so I don't care.
It's not AWFL either, as it was in Ambassadors of Death.
Nerds.
Yep, indeed. Well, there we are.
That's the end
time,
of my...
what do you think of the next time trailer? I just want to say, I'm really looking forward to Shooty rocking some Nigerian clothes. He looks really cool in the 10 seconds I saw of him doing that. And B, it's just going to be really cool to see a Black Doctor amongst, they're not his people because he's a Time Lord, but it'll be cool. Right. This is something we've never gotten to see before. It's kind of like when Jodie was doing the wedding party thing from a female point of view. We never got to see that before either, right? It's kind of interesting to see that. Like, bear in mind,
I agree.
dumb white guy talking about this, but still.
That's true.
It'll be interesting to see that because it'll just be a new thing.
Yeah. Yep. It's the episode with the giant spider thing.
Yep.
Whatever that is.
Yep. Arachnophobes beware.
As time has gone on for these 4 episodes, like so in the lead up to everything with set reports and reading this and hearing that and rumors here and there and whatever. I don't know if I know anything about next week's. Like last week, the midnight thing was I didn't spoil about that from the past. But there's also like stuff that we would have seen or read a year and a half ago, like when this was actually active, that I've completely forgotten about. That it's probably going to come to the surface when I see whatever.
One thing we forgot about is nobody's mentioned Mrs. Flood, probably because we're sick of her. But
the governor.
Yeah, when she shows up as a governor, I was like, my first thought was, oh, they're gonna bring him back for the finale, aren't they? Like they're making him out to be more than the big deal than he is.
Know.
I don't know that for a fact. Maybe they won't.
Or as somebody put in the live stream chat earlier, I hope Conrad isn't an anagram.
Somebody did almost put that together as draconian. Maybe he's a draconian somehow. Conrad Draconian.
Sure, why not?
Think about it.
Hey,
Think about
Draconians
it.
need to come back.
That's a good point, actually. The Draconians do need to come back, but they are a much more interesting species than not just a cut and dry.
Given how good
Conrad was.
their costumes looked in the 70s, imagine what they could do 15 years later
Costumes
for
are
them.
so
I
good.
know.
Could they do better? I don't know.
I don't know if they could.
Those
I don't know if they
costumes
could.
are great.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mrs. Flood comes along and dangles her keys and whatever, and the implication, or at least my inference anyway, was that she's going to let him out, despite the doctor saying you're going to be, languishing
Die
in
at
a cell
49,
until you
yeah.
die at 49 from a heart attack.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
One of you had mentioned something about like Kate Stewart's authority and being the boss and all that kind of
That's
stuff.
probably Steven.
And then, of course, in the episode, we see Abraham saying, we've lost our Geneva pulled our security clearance or whatever.
Yeah.
And then with her releasing the Shriek to go after Conrad, the implication is she's going to get some, potentially anyway, getting some reprimanding happening. What are your thoughts of the resolution there? Is it
They're
too
gonna
much?
gloss
Is it over
over
the
it.
top? Is it
They will-
is it earned?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah. Painting over.
Painting it over.
yeah.
Forgotten.
They've
I don't
got
think you need to worry
a,
about
a, a Nigeria episode and with spiders and a song contest episode and then a big finale. So they probably won't even get back to it.
They'll mention it very briefly. It'll be another line of dialogue said while walking from one place to another to
Yeah.
get to the next scene.
Yeah,
And that'll
with a
be it.
cameo from somebody else, Mel
Yeah.
presumably.
That'll be it. Don't think too much about it. They aren't. It's just a thing to say at the end of an episode, unless we're wrong, of course. But
With the return of Unit, I was hoping Mel would come back, but
she's back. She's back
later.
in it.
She's back later.
She's
will
in
be
the
at some point,
series in the trailer. That's one of the things I got wrong. Remember when I said a few weeks ago when the first trailer came out, I did a little video guessing which episodes are going to come from. I'm mostly all right 4 episodes in, but that Mel thing I thought was in this episode. It's not. So it's going to be in episode 7 or 8 probably. So
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah, I mean, unless Bonnie Langford's participating at the Interstellar Song Contest.
Which it's Bonnie Langford. I wouldn't put it past them.
That thing
I
looms.
watched. So I went through the season 25 Blu-ray set this past week or so, week and a half.
Right.
And on the last disc of the set is the escape room thing with McCoy and Bonnie Langford and Sophie Aldred. And
Right.
one of the elements is them having to do some karaoke, and she didn't sing very well. I don't know if it's just because she wasn't prepped or whatever, but
Right.
I expected more from Bonnie.
Well, she was always known as a dancer and actor.
True.
So, I mean,
Dancer especially, yeah.
and a very, very good dancer.
But
at
still
that,
does enough singing and musical theater.
I suppose, yeah.
Terrible.
Total aside.
Maybe she was dumbing herself down to not embarrass her cohorts.
I mean, she is the biggest theater kid of the three, I think. So
Exactly. Yeah. Anything more on Unlucky Day? Can we move on to the rest?
Eh,
Anything?
eh.
No.
Yeah, I quite liked it after the first one. After the first viewing,
And then you started to think about it.
and ever since it's just whittled away and away and away, and it's not even. I don't know if there's enough left to even give Conrad a shiv for.
Oh no.
And to be
I
fair to
know.
RTD, the other two showrunners are just as guilty of this kind of stuff in various bits and pieces. I can't name off the top of my head, but I'm sure they've also vibes based their way out of some things too.
I don't know. I feel like Moffat probably would
Less, but yeah.
he probably overthink a solution to get
Yeah,
out of it.
true.
I think that's probably his maybe fault, perhaps. Like I gotta think of a logical way to get out of this problem, and maybe twisted himself in knots about that. Wherein RTD would just say a line, just put a line, just do it with a look, and
Yeah.
then it'll be done. And
to quote
well,
Adventure in Space and Time.
it is, yeah. So, I think I prefer that approach still to this day.
Yeah, me too. But your mileage may vary.
Your mileage may vary. I know a lot of people have been saying they really like this season, and it seems like
And I don't hate it. To be fair, I don't hate it.
No, but you know what is happening, Warren? Less so for you, Chris, on this because you don't watch the show and don't like it. But I was worried when,
Says the person who misses everything in other episodes.
when not the show, the show I'm about to allude to,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
is that when
What about Sandbaggers?
when the broadcast dates were announced and Andor was going to be premiering simultaneous to Doctor Who, I thought, I'm worried that I'm looking forward to Andor more than I am Doctor Who.
I texted you that more or less this the other day when I said I think I'm enjoying Andor more than Doctor Who, and I feel a little bad about that.
They're entirely different shows.
Of course, yeah, it's not really a fair comparison.
It's not, and I feel like in a way I'm not being fair to Doctor Who, because Andor just feels more my cup of tea right now. Cup of speed.
Cup of speed. I don't know how much speed you need, but okay,
Yeah.
a whole
Hey,
cup
I've got a
worth of
position
crap.
of Doge for you since you've got the qualification of being
Yeah.
No. You need
on the
ketamine.
goofballs.
You need ketamine for that.
It's one of the rare instances. It's probably why I like the Capaldi era, because I feel like that is Doctor Who's answer, or Children of Earth. It just feels like this is a show that's sort of growing up with its audience, whereas Doctor Who always seems to have to refresh it. And very occasionally, like with the Capaldi era, I feel like it's grown up with me, and that's why I'm appreciating it more. And Andor is the Star Wars that is grown up with its audience. It's not playing to the nostalgia of people. It's playing to the people who have nostalgia for it, but just telling a new story in that framework. And that's why I think I'm enjoying Andor a lot more right now.
That's a subtle difference.
Well, and also part of this is it's not entirely fair because we're 350-something guys, and people our age are going to have most of the time different tastes than somebody who's in their 20s. And there's nothing wrong with the taste of somebody in their 20s. Like I've said before, I didn't much care for Ashoka, but some 20-year-old who watched all of the Clone Wars as a kid probably loved it. And
Probably
good
loved
for
it.
them, right?
Yep.
But it's two different audiences.
Yeah.
So it's not fair to say, no, this is invalid, and which you're not doing. But I'm just saying.
Within the confines of Doctor Who, every story out there is somebody's first and somebody's favorite.
Yeah.
Somebody ranks the twin.
The gunfighters
Somebody
is
ranks the
somebody's
twin
favorite.
dilemma higher than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to know that person, but somebody
No.
out there
You
probably
might be
does.
married to that person.
I know. So I'm hoping in a few weeks or months I can sort of, like, once all the dust is settled on Andor and Doctor Who, that I can sort of go back and say, okay,
Andor
the
finishes
two
before
seasons as a
Doctor Who,
whole.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's done in 2 weeks. There's 3 episodes a week, so it finished. Get this, Chris. It finishes 3 days after the Eurovision Song Contest episode goes out. So,
What a delicious bomb it will be.
oh boy, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, as a big Eurovision fan, I still don't know if I'm looking forward to the Doctor Who episode.
By the way, Chris, I said you might be married to somebody who loves Twin Dilemma just because Kat loves to be contradictory. And genuinely does love these contradictory things.
Yeah, there's no contribution in the chat yet to say
Can't defend yourself. I guess
to agree or
ridiculous
disagree.
accusation.
So.
Yeah. We're talking Eurovision already. Let's mention it. Chris, you're gonna have to explain this. And Shudigawa is slated to announce the UK scores at Eurovision. Does this mean he's like what, the returning officer or something in the election kind of thing? Like, explain what this means.
Not quite.
This honor.
I already went through a harrowing election on Monday, so
Yeah. Well, I voted
so did I.
Yeah, me too.
for the candidate that won. Thank you.
Exactly.
Actually, we all did. Okay, so in Eurovision, there's for the final anyway. There's voting from a public televote, and then there's professional juries that also vote.
Wow.
Each watching separate performances, which good, bad, who knows?
Televote sounds so old-fashioned.
Yeah, well, most of the voting's done through the app these days. Anyway, if you let me get off on a tangent, I will go.
Oh,
on that.
no.
Don't do it, man.
We're already
Don't
an
do
hour
it.
and a half into this. We don't need that. All right.
So, anyway, so the televote happens as the after all the songs are presented and as the broadcast goes on. But the juries watch a performance the day before on the Friday, and they vote based on that. So the votes are all tabulated from the various countries. Every country that participates, their jury gets to vote and then assign points. So there's a top 10 rank basically. So 12 points, 10 points, 8, 7, 6, 5, down to 1.
All right.
So whatever votes, whatever score the UK gives to whomever it's going to be, will be the one presenting that tally.
So for every act, then, basically.
Every country will do their own thing, yeah.
Which means Steven's
Gotcha.
going to have to watch Eurovision just to see Shudigawa. Yeah, you will. You know you will.
Here's the thing, Warren.
Catherine Tate did it 2 years ago
Apparently she did
when
2 years
Liverpool
ago.
hosted, and
Okay.
Stephen didn't watch that.
All right.
Here's the thing. I still have no idea where you watch Eurovision in this country. Not a
Keep
clue.
it that way. Yeah.
Not a clue. I have no idea. No idea. Is it YouTube? Is it?
I would assume it's on
NBC?
BBC.
Is it well here in
Eurovision?
Canada?
Eurovision?
No, but you can
It's on-
VPN your way in.
No idea. Well,
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
on YouTube. Any
It's
any
on YouTube.
not every country in the world, but most countries that don't have a public broadcaster showing it, it'll be geo-locked. So if you're not in that country, you can watch it. So in the UK, for example, if you try watching on YouTube, you'll be blocked because it's on the BBC.
Right.
Or it's going to be RTE in Ireland, or it's going to be whoever.
Not watching it, but just I just want to know where I got to go to ask for directions to get away from there. It's kind of what I.
By the way, in defense of Kat, she just said, I can't say I like the Twin Dilemma at all. Random Cat fact. So there you
Okay,
go.
there you go.
And as Andrew says to you, Stephen, I forced you to watch Strictly. You can do your vision.
But we also got a really good Zygon story after that.
We did have a great Zygon story out of that when we watched it in 2015 at Andrew Smith's place. Yeah. So this is a high honor, then, is what you're saying. Shudigawa does he actually get to say it, or does he just like hold up a card? He's just like him on a webcam, just like 10.
People are in the chat are admonishing Steven. I want to take some of the heat off you. Admonish me too. I also dislike it. I just haven't said anything.
Doesn't like it.
Don't give him all the crap. Give me something.
So in years past, it used to be the whoever's announcing the scores would announce the 8 points, 10 points, 12 points, so the top three.
Right.
In reverse order, but nowadays it's gotten so long that they just do the 12 points. So the 12 point. So he'll say, hello, great show, whatever. The UK's 12 points go to Romania. They're not in the competition this year, but
What?
that's an example.
Come on. How can they call it Europe?
Andrew Tate decided he wanted to be.
If all of Europe isn't
route.
in it. How come they let
Oh,
Australia
ouch.
in but not Romania?
Well,
This
and
is wrong.
don't forget.
Don't get sucked into it, Steven. Don't get
Hashtag
sucked in.
demand the
Do not
truth.
look into the Palantir. Don't do it.
Eurovision lies. Hashtag.
Don't forget, Doctor Who may not even be on BBC One that day.
That's true. Oh, I'm so looking forward to the FA
Because
Cup.
the FA
I
the
wanna see
FA
what
Cup
happens.
is on at whatever time, and
Yep.
there is time for Doctor Who to go out
Just
unless
that
the FA Cup
tiny
goes
amount
to
of time.
if
Goes
the
to
FA
extra
Cup goes to
script,
extra
it's
time
over.
or penalties or something.
Or if there's an injury. What if there's a big injury or something? Like it's been like 8 minutes of extra time, injury time or something like that. Like, oh boy.
Now we're talking about sports. How did we get here?
Peloton is not competing this year, but Shimmeron is.
Nice.
Sweet. Doctor Who, the YouTube channel, which you should click subscribe apparently, celebrated
As many doctors have told you.
Like and subscribe even.
2 million subscribers recently. So they put together a 12-hour video of just a bunch of clips.
The show is dead. Show is dead. People who have 2 million subscribers. The show is dead.
Yep.
It really seems odd that you look at some YouTubers out there.
Right.
I don't know. It's a
I'd
pulling
rather
out of
not, but
my,
okay.
pulling out of my hat. Let's go PewDiePie. I don't know. I don't know who's out there for the
I
popular
think he's. Is he a thing
I
anymore?
think he got canceled. I don't care.
ones. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But the point being that there's all these randos out there who have their channels and they've Mr. Beast, whatever,
Right.
done very, very well on YouTube and have these massive subscription numbers and massive earnings from ad revenue sharing and all that kind of stuff. And Doctor Who, that's been around for 60 plus years, has 2 million.
Well, the thing is, you're going.
It seems criminal.
I'm not defending because I can't stand most YouTubers, with a few exceptions. But if you're going on a YouTube channel, you're going for those people, and they're going to deliver a certain thing. Whereas you're going to YouTube for Doctor Who or Star Wars or anything else for that matter for ancillary stuff.
There we
the
go.
Main thing you're interested.
There we go.
Right?
Well,
Yeah.
The main thing you're interested in is that YouTuber. If you're looking at that.
Yeah, like before the live stream started, we were talking about this, and so the 2 million subscriber thing for their YouTube channel, like it went live at 3:00 in the morning, Friday night, Saturday morning, and I was up watching Doctor Who until almost 2 a.m. anyway. So I'm like, whatever, I'll stick around and watch this and see what it is, and it's just a bunch of clips.
Yep.
So like,
Well, what else are they going to do?
Yeah.
Well, what are they also going to do? Yeah, okay, fair enough. But they're also doing enough of that for other things, like here's the monsters, here's the Fifth Doctor highlights, or here's the
They did do
best of the
Crystal
Cybermen,
D and that
here's
kind
whatever.
of stuff before. So.
Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't anything new or special to celebrate the 2 million. It was just more of the same. And
Yeah, why
I would have liked to have seen a bit of a more focused celebration. Like even if it's like shooty with a like they have at the end of all the YouTube videos, the like and subscribe bit.
Yeah, like give them a little
shooty there
1 minute thing or
being
something,
thanks to everyone for 2 million subscribers. Like something to actually be specific to that event.
I gotcha. I understand. Yeah. What can you do, but what would you do? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
You should do something different.
Do they have time for that? Like, who knows?
Yeah. For the second straight year, the finale for Doctor Who, the 2-part finale, will be shown in theaters.
The main reaction I've seen from people
Cinemars.
is I look forward to being disappointed in a theater is what I saw a few people say. Because, the second Empire of Death wasn't that great. So,
well, what also is, my real voice is really, this is what happens when you podcast for an hour and 40 minutes, is that this might impact the release time for the Reality War, episode 8, because it might coincide with the cinema screening as opposed to. So it's May the 4th as we record this, and there's no this month on Disney Plus release yet from their official press site to say what if there's a different time for episode 8.
Right?
Well, no, it drops at. It drops at it wouldn't even drop an iPlayer.
No, I mean these releases from Disney are always kind of behind.
Well, they should tell you what's coming in May.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying
May starts.
Did we talk about it? Did we talk about it last week, or is it the announcement of the cinema screenings that said that it's not going to be on iPlayer at 8 a.m.?
I don't know if we talked about it. We certainly not talked about it.
It's there somewhere. I can't remember if we talked about it or not. But anyway, it's So iPlayer is not going to have the finale at 8 a.m. like every other episode. Whatever time the cinema screenings start, the iPlayer drops, the BBC One drop will be simultaneous with somebody hitting play on the digital playback of episode
or
in the cinema.
Didn't people? I heard tales of basically people were like it dropped like on iPlayer about like 5 minutes earlier or something like that. So people were literally scrubbing through the end of Empire of Death to see the end of it before they were watching, while they were watching in the theater or something like that.
Why would you do that to yourself? That's silly.
That's dumb. Yeah.
Dumb.
I hadn't heard that. Yeah.
Well, the same people that throw popcorn at the screen whenever a chicken jockey shows up on screen too,
yes.
though. So
that's a sentence I never needed to understand.
Nope.
So, there's a remark in the chat about from Schreikler. For some reason, YouTube booted me when I tried to say Romania can't afford to do Eurovision. Well, Romania can't afford to do Eurovision. That's why they're not in there.
I see.
Yeah. Also, I don't care if Stats is dead. 1.5 million overnights.
How dare you?
On a night third overall for BBC One. On a night where nothing on BBC One broke 2 million.
With regard to Romania, and this is whenever I put a fan vid together, it's obviously got popular music in it, and inevitably YouTube says this will not show in Belarus and Russia for this because you violated this copyright. Nowhere else. And I'm like, well, good.
Yep.
I don't want them to see it. Go to hell, Russia and Belarus.
Yep. What else we got here? There's just a bunch of stuff to talk about. How about like Blu-rays here in North America?
Oh my God, my pre-order list is so full now.
I know.
I've pre-ordered both. A rarity.
Yep. Famine to feast.
Not this one.
The season 1 Blu-ray is finally coming to North America June 24th, which of course is the exact 1-year anniversary of the last broadcast of The Empire of Death. That's how Disney does things. So expect the season 2 Blu-ray to come out on May 31st. Next year. I'm going to throw my usual rant out there that this is being released on Blu-ray only in 1080p. There's absolutely no reason not to release it in 4K, but they aren't. You bastards. The Savages finally coming to North America.
Just ordered it right before we recorded.
Yeah, that's right, May 20th. And then the War Games in color, which I got my comp copy finally this past week.
Very good.
And watched the RFS segment because I'm a narcissist.
I didn't realize there was going to be a video component to it when I watched it.
Probably will do the same thing. Just because it's cool to play a Blu-ray that has our recording on it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. You didn't think there would be a video element to it on.
Well, I forgot that you did a video recording of the interview, even though you were just a RFS logo.
I was. That's good branding, Chris. That's good branding right there.
And Chris Hayden.
There's an RFS
Chris Hayden
logo.
Was himself.
Also, if you showed up with an Oilers thing on a Disney disc, that'd be a problem.
Yeah,
Not Disney disc, a BBC disc, I guess. But
blurred logos everywhere. Yeah.
But and I did know that it was just excerpts; it wasn't the whole thing. But yeah, no, it was good. I don't know who chopped it together.
I don't know. Might have been Benjamin Cook. I know
But
Peter
whoever did it, I liked the way the story was told.
I know,
with the captions and the whatnot. So
I do like that too. So and there's other elements on that disc too. Apparently, I don't know what, but there's the RFS interview on
six
an official Doctor Who
extra
Blu-ray.
minutes of I don't know.
I'm very
shooting,
much looking
being
forward to the
captured
stuff
something.
about the models because I thought that was one of the best things about it, all those cool models for their headquarters.
I did
really wanna
watch
see
that. I did watch the extended cut
Yeah,
of all the
I'm
model
looking forward to
footage
that.
at once. Yeah. What else is happening in the news? My voice is almost gone. There's a radio special coming on the May the 19th. Doctor Who Time and Space for Everyone on BBC Radio Wales.
Get your thumbnail faces on. Doctor Who gone woke?
Ooh, no, yeah, it's about Gareth David Lloyd. Yanzo Jones himself explores the significance of Doctor Who as a cultural
coming back.
touchstone.
He's come back.
For LGBTQIA plus fans, both in Wales and globally.
Well, people forget that the him and Jack romance was a big
Shrine's
deal.
still there.
The Shrine is still there.
Shrine is still there. But I
15
mean, at
years
the
later.
time, amongst fandom, it was a huge thing. It was representation-wise and all the rest of it.
That's true. It's huge. It's huge. Why? It's how Chris and Kat met. Basically, our episode on that wasn't that the case? Wasn't that the case? Is when Kat came on because Torchwood, and then
No, we did say we're not qualified to talk about this.
Yeah.
So we had three
I decided
representatives,
we needed to have something covering it, and that we shouldn't be the ones doing it.
But
so,
you were absolutely right to do so. Yeah.
so I enlisted Eric, Kat, and Nat, who later did Bridging the Rift afterwards.
That's true. Let's all overanalyze a Big Finish title card. The death and life of River Song, the dissolution of time. There's Alex
Good dress.
Kingston just
Good
holding
gun.
a gun,
Good pedals. Or whatever those are.
pedals, diamonds,
Barbed wire?
barbed wire potentially.
I mean, it's
Looks like
just
barbed wire.
River Song being a badass as per usual.
I suppose so.
River
That's
Song
coming-
does Pam Anderson's Barbed Wire?
Why do you have to make everything terrible, Chris?
Anyway,
Is your middle name Conrad? Is that what's going on here?
yeah, could be.
Maybe.
That's coming out August 2025.
I just
yes.
before you move on, just the headline on the Big Finish page. River Song is a Tudor intruder. I love a good rhyme.
That's a good pun.
Oh, that should be the name of the thing, Tudor Intruder. What is this? Doctor Who Myths and Legends, the real-time picture story.
I'm
by Dylan
intrigued by
Reeves
this.
Is a book. It's a book coming out. It's about basically the real-time pictures, like the Mythmakers videos and all that. Why are
We
you
used to
intrigued,
watch
Warren?
those at the Edmonton Doctor Who Club in the 80s. So that's
When there was nothing else.
back when there was
new to
nothing,
watch,
absolutely nothing else. This was the only VAM that existed. Was this
Yeah.
this sort of to the side VAM? So I'm kind of interested in that.
And I mean, Keith
the
Barnfather
making
is
of
still-
Myths and Legends.
Keith Barnfather's still out at these,
Yeah.
even to this day.
Yeah.
So,
It's kind of like the Wilderness years, but VAM, like the VAM Wilderness years.
Even
were
before
that.
the Wilderness years.
Yeah. It was during the Wilderness years.
But also before. 'cause we
that's
would
right.
get McCoy recordings, and then we'd also watch the Mythmakers.
That's right,
And go,
that's
well,
right.
I don't know who he's talking to. I don't know anything. I'm an idiot child. So
Yep. A couple other things. The book Exterminart, the Doctor Who Dalek art of Andrew Skilleter is coming out. That's available for pre-order.
Skiller's
And-
probably my favorite Doctor Who artist of the time. I always
like
love his
his
stuff.
Yeah, he did the Cyberman book, David Banks' Cyberman
His
book.
target
as well.
covers are so good.
Yeah, so he keeps churning these things out. And then You and Eden is a channel in the UK, and they're showing Doctor Who starting tomorrow, May the 5th. Is that right?
There's a series of channels, you and something.
Oh, right,
One of-
right.
One
yeah.
of those.
Yeah, it's owned by BBC Studios, by the way. But anyway, they're showing some classic Doctor Who, starting with Spearhead from Space on May the 5th. So, if you don't own all 17 different versions of Spearhead from Space that have been released over the years, then
You're
you
a
can
terrible
watch
human
it
being.
there. Yeah, you can watch it there. Next week, hopefully my voice will be back in fine form to talk about the story and the end of the live stream. We'll be at the same time, same place, assuming Chris doesn't have another power outage like he did today. But,
Not his fault. I hasten to add.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
This is a lot of finger pointing.
That's true. Yeah, what'd you do? What'd you overload the grid there, Chris? With all your coffee
Porn.
machines and your... Stop it.
Always porn.
Oh, stop.
Eurovision porn. I was listening to the album too much, and then they fried the grid.
Wow, that's a whole lot of stuff I don't want to hear about. Anyway, going on.
Enough of that. Enough of that. So join us next week for a more Doctor Who. Hopefully we'll like it all better than this week's installment. Tune in and find out. In the meantime, though,
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that good.
Between time.
I didn't dislike it.
I know. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now. Oh, my voice is nearly gone.
Yeah,
You're talking about Andor made me go, I kind of want to get the Blu-rays of that.
Oh, I got the
for-
4K.
for-
Are they 4K?
One. Yeah, they are.
Well, maybe I will get the first season in 4K.
For Kurt in the chat about the Jodie Whittaker set, yeah, the Matt Smith set, same thing. The Peter Capaldi set, same thing. And it's just doesn't fit on a shelf. And
No.
yeah.
Does not. I was coughing and I noticed that like my waveform is still moving even though I hit the mute button on Audacity. Everybody hear me cough on the live stream incidentally?
Yep.
Just curious.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I did. So,
I stopped paying attention 3 minutes in. So
Oh, well, I'm not surprised by that, but so that might be required some extra editing when I'm putting this together. So
well, the great thing is, as you know, you can see them.
I can see them. Yeah. So that's it, though, kids. I need to go away and shut up because my voice is gone.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
There you are,
and not just because you're sick.
no.
That's enough.
Blah.
I stand with Stephen.